Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. Today I will be giving a bit of a belated The Batman review. I know, I watched it last Friday and I just didn't film one, but here we are today. So let's just forget about that stuff and go straight into the review. And immediately I am gonna have to say, Robert Pattinson, I think you might have become one of my favorite Batmans of all time. I find it so hard to not have multiple number ones, but I think it's still gonna be maybe Michael Keaton and then Robert Pattinson and then Ben Affleck. So, number two isn't that bad. As for the Batman title itself, I think hands down this actually has to be my favorite Batman movie of all time now. I just think Matt Reeves did an excellent job in the script, the directing, the cinematography, hiring the perfect person for the score. Like, that Batman score, one of the best by far, especially with the fact that I had to watch the movie in IMAX. There's no other way. You can't watch it on a regular screen, but hearing that score and Batman's theme in IMAX, it was incredible. It was just an amazing experience, and I need to watch it again in IMAX because also the different screen aspect ratio, beautiful. I love it when we get more of the screen and it's not just the typical screen size. I don't know the number of it, but besides that, I think the plot was done quite well. Personally, I didn't want to find out the runtime, so when I left the theater and found out that it was basically a 3-hour movie, I was a bit surprised. Near the end, I will admit, I did start to lose a bit of interest because the second they got the Riddler, I just assumed, oh, okay, the movie's gonna be done in 5-10 minutes. But no, there is still probably at least half an hour more of the film. And don't get me wrong, the way they ended the film was perfect. But I think, as for myself, I just assumed that was over, so when I found out that there was still more of a story to tell, I was a bit surprised. Moving on from the plot though, besides the length, I don't think there was really any issues with it. I thought everyone did an incredible job, and with the actors, they were all perfect. They were all perfectly cast. I need to see Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz in a Batman film again because their Batman and Catwoman chemistry, it was on point. It was so good. And Zoe Kravitz, you're almost on the same level as Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, although her performance in Tim Burton's Batman is just so iconic, especially with the cat suit. That is a really hard thing to beat, but she did a phenomenal job as Selena Kyle. I genuinely wanted more of her in the film. I know she was in a decent amount. I kept thinking, are we gonna get more Catwoman? Can we get more of Selena Kyle? Because I fucking love her character. I love her chemistry with Robert Pattinson. They did such a good job, especially with how they ended the film. They have that little, I don't know how to describe it, can I, should I, no I can't be with Batman, it just wouldn't work out, that back and forth that the two have in the comics. And speaking of the comics, Matt Reeves, oh my god, you just took elements from the comics that I genuinely haven't really seen much in other Batman movies or just DC films or shows. that have Batman in it as well. Like, you actually took the detective aspect of the character and you incorporated it in the film. The fact that we got to hear, like, Batman's inner monologue near the beginning of the film, I was just so excited because it is hands down, spot on, like what he does in the comics, how he's basically journaling his nights out, and you have those comic panels of Batman writing in the Batcave, and we actually got to see that. Like, I can't recall whether or not we've seen it with other iterations of Batman, but if so, there have not been that many, because I was way too excited to hear Robert Pattinson doing like a monologue over the scene. Now, moving on to the villains, I thought Paul Dano and Colin Farrell, they were both perfect Batman villains. I don't know too much about Falcone. However, I am assuming that in the comics he might not be Selena Kyle's actual father. I could be wrong. Maybe there's some comic book version where he ends up being her dad, but I just assumed that they added that for the film. But all of them did a phenomenal job. I was especially intrigued with Colin Farrell's version of the Penguin. I'm excited to hopefully see more of him as that character. I know he definitely spent a long time in the makeup chair having to put on those prosthetics, but if the makeup team isn't nominated for multiple awards for how good their SFX was, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me about it. What I do want to, actually, I don't know if I would want to hear it, but the one thing I will have to say, two things I will have to say about the Riddler. The crying, I don't know why, it reminded me of maybe like a walrus or like a beach whale crying. I don't know, I've seen actors cry like that before, so he's not the first. It was definitely an interesting take on the character, as well as the Riddler having plastic wrap on the back of his head, but that's assuming he doesn't want any DNA to get off. But I also have to say, I found it so funny how he's basically blogging, live streaming, and it's like, thank you to my 500 followers. I mean, that's not too many as someone with, I think a bit over 450, which I'm very happy for. I don't know, I just found it so funny. It's like he's this huge social media star now. He needs to get a manager or something, but I did like that they added that though, because social media is a huge presence in people's lives nowadays, and that can definitely get some people to do bad things. So again, I applaud you, Matt Reeves, for making this Batman movie sort of realistic, but also staying true to the comics. It's never a bad thing to have a realistic version of the Batman. I know we had it with Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, but sometimes we don't get it as much. So I'm very curious to see that if he does get to make more Batman films, if he's gonna keep it more like dark and gritty and realistic, or maybe take in a few elements that are obviously like the Joker falling in a vat of acid and him not dying, and instead him getting bleached completely white and getting red lips and green hair. So that'll be very interesting to see. I want to also say that Andy Serkis surprised me as Alfred when I found out that he was cast as the infamous butler. I don't know, it's like, damn, I'm a bit surprised. They keep making these Alfreds younger and younger, although technically this is Batman in his second year, but it was very good. Like, I love the connection that his character had with Bruce Wayne, but really Batman, because he wants nothing to do with that part of himself. He just wants to be in his black eyeshadow and his nice bat suit, just fighting people, which I guess I can kind of understand. I do want to also mention that I personally loved how they depicted Gotham. I liked how they did their Gotham town square with all those screens, kind of like Times Square in New York. I also love the little diner scene where the Riddler is arrested. I'm pretty sure that's like a nod to the one famous painting. I don't know the name. I don't know if it's like Nighthawk or something. I'm probably completely wrong, but I will add an image of it with the name. And speaking of an image, I want to talk quickly about the scene where Batman's going into the club. I mean, I feel bad for those twins. He messed them up, but it just was so funny seeing Batman in his suit just going through a crowd of people just trying to be like drunk and having fun, as well as when the lights were flickering and he was just beating up people so the screen would be dark and we'd see him beating someone else up. Again, cinematography, beautiful. You cannot use the 3-hour length to say that this movie is bad, because it's definitely not overrated. I think it's getting the hype that it deserves. Maybe even it needs a bit more, because, hot take, people are they're still very stuck in the mid-2000s with the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. They were good, but we need to look past that now. People love to keep comparing Batman movies to that, and it was good, but this is a different time now. So I think it's safe to say that the Batman is on the same platform as those movies. Okay, this is my final point before I end the video, but I love how they demonstrated the fear that Batman creates in his early years with the beginning of the film. We haven't even seen him yet, but seeing the bat signal and Batman state like, oh, they've created a light for me now to let me know when I'm needed. But the fact that criminals and just people in general, citizens of Gotham, would see that light and they would be terrified. They were looking into the dark, in the shadows, because they feared that he was going to come out of there, because as Batman said, he was the shadows. He was vengeance. And Matt Reeves, oh my god, he did, I know I keep using this word, but he did a phenomenal job. He was amazing in capturing this fear that Batman would create. But then, at the end of the movie, he started off in the dark. We get to see him with that little flare stick just walking out the crowd with, obviously, seems to be a signature color for this Batman, with the nice little red flare light. And now he's the light. Now, as he said, he has to become something more than vengeance. He can't just be obsessed with the past. He has to be hope. He's moving these people forward, literally, as he's helping them out of the flooded, arena. I swear, I need to write a paper about this film, or just read someone's paper about this film, because oh my god, the meaning behind it, the imagery, the cinematography, just, I can't say it again, but chef's kiss, everything was perfect. I fucking love you, Matt Reeves. Thank you so much for this depiction of Batman, because honestly, I think maybe after one or two more watches, it's gonna be my favorite Batman film of all time. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a huge thumbs up, subscribe to the button below, and comment down if you have seen The Batman. Let me know if you thought the runtime was a bit too long or not. I think it was very close to the right amount. We got to see a lot of content, which I enjoyed. My only issue is when I thought that the movie was ending, but then there was still another half an hour. But yeah, also let me know what you thought of the characters, because I thought they were fantastic. The actors, brilliant, and I will see you guys next time.